Thank you very much. I would like to thank especially to the organizers of the conference for organizing such beautiful event and for your hospitality. Thank you very much. So we jump to the text. I would say, of course, we know that Christianity is not only a religion of the book, but also a religion of the letter. Indeed, as its origin, there are 21 letters belong to the canon of the sacred scriptures. And the earliest writings of the post-apostolic period, as we know, also belong to the category of letters. Christianity was thus built on the art of epistolography in accordance with its ancient theory. And one of those who in the patristic period carried out a reworking of the ancient theory of the epistolography in accordance with the Christian doctrine, and whose letters reached excellency in epistolography, was of course Saint Jerome of Stridon. It is traditionally accepted that Jerome's collection of the letters contains 154 letters, but of course not all of these epistolarium were written by Jerome. Some of them are addressed to him by other people, some on the other hand were never received by Jerome because they were not addressed directly to him, but are included in this collection. However, there are 123 letters written by the Stridonian himself, and they include apologetic, consulting, consolatory, reporting, supplicatory, reproaching, censoring, exhorting, thankful, conciliatory, mocking, praising, accounting, threatening, and of course, exegetical letters. Jerome refers in his letters to the pagan ancient theory of epistolography. Indeed, in a letter to Niceas, subdeacon of Aquileia, he wrote, quote, "The comic poet Turpilius says of the exchange of letters that it alone makes the absent present. The remark, though occurring in a work of fiction, is not untrue. For what more real presence, if I may so speak, can there be between absent friends than speaking to those whom they love in letters, and in letters hearing their reply?" End of quote. Jerome emphasizes the purpose of letter writing, which is to establish the presence of the other person and to converse with him or her. For this reason, in another letter, Jerome indicates the themes that should be dealt with in letters: family matters and daily life matters. All in order that those who are absent become present, as it were, by telling each other either what they want or what has happened, whereby sometimes this joint conversation is also enriched with the salt of education, as he says. Jerome, therefore, adds an element of didacticism that should characterize letters, although he also implies an element of spiritual conversation. Letters can also recall what has happened in the past, and they can also recall absent persons, as we heard, so that the letters becomes a kind of embodiment of these persons. In his correspondence with Chromatius, Jovinius, and Eusebius, hermits from Aquileia, Jerome noted the remarkable words, quote, "I converse with your letter. I embrace it. It talks to me. It alone of those here speaks Latin. As often as the lines traced in a well-known hand bring back to me the faces which I hold so dear, either I am no longer here, or else you are here with me. If you will credit the sincerity of affection, I seem to see you all as I write this." End of quote. A letter is therefore an expression of love that longs for the presence of a loved one. It is love's response to love. This is why in his letter to Abigailus of Spain, Jerome encouraged him, "Write to me, therefore, boldly, and overcome the effect of absence by frequent colloquies." And in his letter to Licinius, he begged that distance may not sever those united in affection, and that I may find my Licinius present in absence through an interchange of letters. It was extremely important for Jerome to keep in touch with people who were important to him and who shared his way of thinking, his values, and his passions. In composing his letters, Jerome conforms to the ancient theory of the letter. For instance, in his letter to Marcella, he aims to explain the meaning of the Old Testament's priestly vestments, but he moderates himself, explaining that by explaining only some Hebrew terms, he has exceeded the brevity of the letter, brevitatem epistole excessimus. And not only brevitas and dilectio, but also moderatio should characterize letters, according to St. Jerome. For instance, Augustine, in his letter to Darius, praises Jerome for his style of writing, telling, so seriously gentle and gently serious. Graviter suave est, vel suaviter grave. Which is the result of Jerome's innate gifts and literary training. Jerome believed that there was nothing worse than a letter written in a bad, undecorated style, and in addition, very long, as he says in his letter to Pope Damasus. An essential aspect of letter writing for Jerome is the ancient concept of docere. The purpose of a letter is to share informations, to instruct, and to provide a platform for exchanging ideas, ultimately creating a community of knowledge centered around a shared idea. Jerome pointed out this didactic function of letters by saying, to arraign sinners is to admonish in a letter those in like case, and to praise the virtues is to quicken the zeal of those who wish to do right. Letters also are, according to Jerome, a space in which the two correspondents seek answers and solutions together. For example, in the Bible studies. Jerome, a scholar and translator of scriptures, believed that the fear of the Lord and the study of God's words are the foundation upon which the true friendly letters can be built. Accordingly, such letters should not be written only for the sake of material gain or carnal presence. For Jerome, the letters are also an opportunity to renew or mend relationships between correspondents so that love and mutual presence can emerge. In one of his letters, Jerome, who, as we know, offended and discouraged many people with his sharp and nervous style, asked Augustine, let there be sincere brother lines between us, and henceforth let us exchange letters, not of controversy, but of mutual charity. Jerome, in one of his letters, said, for I do not dictate with the same smoothness with which I write, because when writing I often turn the stylus over in order to better write things that deserve to be read, while when dictating I am quick to say whatever comes to my tongue. Here, in this citation, Jerome outlines two ways of composing letters known as letter writing. An analysis of the letters reveals that Jerome mainly dictates his letters. In a letter to Marcella, Jerome describes the process of writing the letter. He said, in stolen moments by a small lamp, the scribe's quick hand was writing at my dictation. Similarly, in the letter to Fabiola, he explained, I dictated this letter in a hurry by a single candle. And to Minervius and Alexander, he complained, I am compelled to dictate these words at the very moment of the departure of our brother Sicinius. In stolen moments at night, by lamplight, I dictated the answer to the most of the questions. Similarly, in one of his letters, he reveals the circumstances and manner in which this letter was written. Quote, working quickly, I have completed this letter in a single night, anxious and alike to gratify a friend and to try my hand on a rhetorical theme. I wish also to show my detractors that, like them, I too can say the first thing that comes into my head. The letter has been, in fact, dictated offhand and poured forth by lamplight so fast that my tongue has outstripped my secretary's pens and that my volubility was baffled the expedients of shorthand. I have said this much, that those who make no allowances for want of ability may make some for want of time. Certainly, this haste in dictation was often due to the importance of the correspondent and the desire to respond as quickly as possible to a letter received from him or her. In Epistola to Pope Damasus, Jerome asserts, "When I received your Holiness' letter, I immediately brought down a scribe and engaged him in the work. And when he was ready for it, I had thought of beforehand what I was going to dictate." Certainly, the stenographers, notarius, who collaborated with Jerome did not have an easy life with him. However, the addressees of the letters might also have felt disappointed when they received short and undecorated letters. Therefore, in a letter addressed to Paulinus of Nola, whose style of letters resembled that of Ciceronian one, Jerome justified himself and revealed the secrets of his epistolary technique. "It happens that," he said, "neglecting the niceties of composition and not revising the work of my secretaries, I dictate whatever first comes into my head. Thus, when I write to you, I regard you as a friend, not as a critic." In another letter, Jerome admits that when dictating, he speaks quickly whatever comes to mind or to tongue, giving dictation the status of recklessness. Although this method of writing letters posed problems and lowered the literary level of the correspondence, it was nevertheless the one that Jerome used most often. Of course, we also find in Jerome references to writing letters by hand. Jerome, who complained about dictating his letters at night, himself stated that he wrote many of his works in his own hand and some with the help of stenographers. However, he unquestionably acknowledges the superiority of writing by hand, since such writing gives the opportunity to reflect, to think, or even to correct one's own letter in time. The hand writer is characterized by prudence, lack of haste, and order in the constructing of statements. The handwriting fulfills what letter writing is all about: the special presence of the correspondents in each other's company. For in the handwriting, Jerome could see his correspondents as if they were standing next to him and could almost see their faces. And that was the most important thing for Jerome as a letter writer. Thank you very much.